This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Apparition Scents, an outdoor and sporting goods company based in Dilliner, Pennsylvania. All of their scents developed and hand bottled with strict attention being paid to every detail. Contact them today at 724-998-7646 or check them out at apparitionscents.com. 100% lethal or your money back guaranteed. Get a hold of them today at 724-998-7646 or check them out at apparitionscents.com.
Folks, welcome to another episode of On the Limb podcast with Nature's Voice Game Calls, where deer camp becomes a reality for every listener. Join us as we talk God, family, country, and everything outdoors. Kick back, relax, and have a listen. Now, here's your host and co-host, Mike and Dan.
Good evening, everyone. Is it fall yet? I'm about sick of this hot weather.
Well, you know, it's not that bad. It is hot, but
well, we were doing our sound checks, and I was like, everything's good except for that little bit of background noise from the AC there. You were like, you're gonna have to deal with that.
Yeah, it's 104 degrees real feel right now, so
yeah.
AC's staying on today.
So Dan's out there in Missouri working, and our guest this evening is Aaron Futrell, and we'll be talking with him here in just a second. But yeah, I'm ready for cool temps and deer hunting. I don't know about you.
I enjoy the summer. I don't mind it at all.
Yeah, we're getting ready to have our beach trip, so usually after the beach, I'm ready to go. That's about it.
Yeah. Honestly, 75 year round would be great for me, though.
Oh yeah, it'd be amazing.
Like, low humidity, all that good stuff. That'd be perfect. Perfect weather.
Yep, it would be for sure. So, as I said, our guest this evening, he's an avid deer hunter, outdoorsman, and he's wrote several books. So we're going to be talking about that in just a little bit. But Dan's got some promo codes he wants to share with our listeners.
I sure do. Don't forget about our newest partner, AquaCase. You can visit them at aquacase.net and use promo code podcast15 at checkout for 15% off your entire order. They are your waterproof case and bag experts, guys. Check them out. I mean, if you guys are boating, fishing, even whatever it is, outdoors, hiking, drop your phone. We've all done it. I've dropped my phone in the bottom of the boat and got it soaking wet, but they will get you covered. Also, check out our Spotify, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. We're there. And don't forget to use podcast 10 at checkout with outdoor-pro-shop.com for 10% off your order at checkout.
Awesome. All right, let's get into it. Without further ado, please welcome with me Aaron B. Futrell, author of the Deer Stand Devotional and Why We Hunt. And, of course, he's an avid outdoorsman. So, Aaron, how are you this evening?
Oh, I'm doing great. It's good to be on.
It's great to have you,
sir. Good to have you.
So, why do we hunt?
Well, that's seems to be kind of a more complicated issue. So I wrote the book Why We Hunt kind of after I wrote an article for our blog that we had while it's now closed down. But I was like, everybody hunts for different reasons. And you kind of, it's like, you hear all this arguing in the hunting community about, okay, you're only doing it this right if you do it this way. You only do it right if you do it this way. You should only shoot mature bucks. I'm hunting for meat. And I'm like, most of it is like everyone has a different motivation.
That's right.
So
yeah.
I kind of broke it down into like 7 categories of why we hunt. And with those 7 categories, it's like, the challenge, spirituality, camaraderie, and stuff like that. And I propose that we're all have a mixture of those motivations. And it changes over the course of when you're a hunter and sometimes even over the course of the season. Like I know we've all started out the season when we're like, I'm waiting for that big buck. And then you have an empty freezer, so your expectations start getting lower and lower until you have meat in the freezer.
Yeah.
So, and then they maybe go back up to that big buck, and it's like, sometimes meat's a bigger motivator. Sometimes the challenge of hunting one particular boat's more of a motivator. And that's what I kind of went through is talked about all those reasons that motivate a hunter to go out into the woods, and I came up with 7 of them. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head, and I forgot to grab that book and bring it out. But it was kind of it's been accepted pretty well, and everybody's like, yeah, that's a very good description of why we hunt, because it's not just one thing. It's complicated, and it's more than surface level, like
Yeah.
like the anti-hunter said, it's just a bloodlust,
Hmm.
which it's not. It's not that, and it's like I want them, and I kind of wanted to write a book that they would probably understand. So
Hmm.
Sure.
that's kind of why I wrote that book, and that was my first book. I was writing as a blogger. I used to have a website called thehuntingnews.com, and we still have the Facebook page and posting stuff on that, but the blog, it just became, after COVID, actually during COVID, it became not very economical to run because of the restrictions that Facebook had on sending places to other articles, and especially if they
Oh,
thought
okay.
they were news.
Gotcha.
If you weren't a regular news site, it's like you got no reach whatsoever. So it kind
Right.
of dropped us for about a year, where it's like, yeah, we really couldn't recover
Yeah.
after that, making money off of it.
Yeah, it's funny that you're talking about the 7 different ways that you broke down, why we hunt. You were talking about it changes for everyone. Everybody's got their way their perspective that they look at it. Some people has experienced deer camp. Some people haven't. Some people just, just go out and hunt close to their house and don't have the deer camp experience. And some people go and hunt and fish and do all of it all at one time. But it's kind of like your taste buds; they change every 7 years. so there's
Oh yeah.
there's all kinds of different things that go on there, and it just keeps progressing as you get older, I think, and you start picking up some of the other traditions and heritage that your family had.
Oh yeah, definitely. One example I like to give when I'm talking about this is I'm I'm service member, former service member, retired now. But before I was getting ready to Iraq, I had 3 weeks to hunt, and I wasn't going to be picky. I wanted some deer meat before I left for a year to go overseas.
Yeah.
So I shot a yearling because that was the first deer that walked by, and I only
Mhm.
had like 2 days to hunt, and that right before I left. If it would have been any other year, there's no way I'd have shot that deer. But my motivations were completely different that year
Yeah.
than every other year, because my motivations were give a little bit of deer meat before I deploy, and then I can turn a bunch of it into jerky and have them mail it over to me while I'm overseas.
Yeah.
Yeah, but when I got back that next year, it took, I never even shot a buck because I was, passed up so many, and I ended up shooting like two does because I was waiting on that nice buck to come by. So my motivation that year was totally different than the year before, only because of circumstances. And
That's funny you say that. how you had the 2 days to hunt before you deployed. So I was kind of in the same situation. I was already deployed, and I took my leave
oh yeah,
around hunting season because I had never missed a hunting season in my life.
Yeah.
So I made sure my leave for my week leave or whatever in Iraq was during our hunting season.
oh yeah, and yeah, I did that one time when I got back from deployment. I had a week in the season left, and I shot a doe, but I know what it's like being short on season and not much time, and
Yeah.
it something like that does change your motivation from when you have time. And it's like there's some people like, oh, you shouldn't shoot a yearling, but I'm like, look at my situation, look what I was doing, look how much time I had to hunt, and there's nothing wrong with that because of it fit exactly what I what my hunt to be. Sure, I would like a monster buck, but I was happy with a small doe that gave me some fresh tenderloin the week before I left, and some deer jerky while I was in the desert. So
Yeah.
it's too many people are so I don't know what's the word I'm looking for, kind of like on edge or too judgmental when it comes to why people hunt. And if they don't hunt for the same reasons or do the same thing that they do, they get mad. And so that's part of the reason why I wrote that book, is to kind of explain that every hunter is a little bit different, even though some are very similar. Like I talked about me and my cousin who, we've been hunting together ever since he was probably 8 years old. And I was probably, I think I was like 13 or 14. It's like we've hunted every year together since then, but he's completely different. He's a super obsessive guy that he went out with a recurve and taught himself, shooting a recurve bow and wanted to harvest a deer with a recurve. Passed up a whole bunch of deer, and because they were at 20 yards instead of 15 yards. But he was all about the challenge that year, or actually for the next 3 years, because he didn't. It took him like 3 years to get one.
Wow.
But
Wow.
yeah, it's like we're shooting recurves, no joke, especially at a deer.
No, that's
And,
for sure.
but it's like that was what he wanted to do, and that was his goal, and it was completely different from mine, who was I wanted to get a nice buck. I'm not sitting out there waiting for the 160 or whatever. I'm a good representative of the species I'm happy with. But there was nothing wrong with either of our approach. It was just different. And even though we were raised the same way in the same culture, hunt the same land, hang out at hunting camp the exact same time, it's like his culture, his motivation developed different than mine. And I think we understand that as long as you're not poaching, and that there's really no motivations that are really that wrong if it's in the confines of the law. It's it's all right, and we need to understand that about all the hunters.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. So moving on with that, you're also the senior editor for the Hunting News. You write about hunting philosophy and current events. Tell us a little bit about that and how it all got started.
Well, I'll tell you about how it got started, but that kind of died a couple years ago. But
okay.
that's how I got into writing, which is, it's like helped me a lot. We did that for almost 5 or 6 years before, it was like, before COVID kind of shut down the blog, but we still did a lot of, yeah. And I got into it because my brother and my cousin decided that they wanted to start filming videos of rabbit hunting for YouTube and be the world famous YouTube rabbit hunters.
Oh, really?
Which is kind of ridiculous. We've actually probably have one of the best rabbit hunting videos on YouTube. It's got like a couple 100,000 views, and it's like really well done. But besides that, it's like, so they started filming and posting stuff on Facebook, and before long they figured out, hey, we could do more than just rabbit hunting. So they filmed my I think she was 80-year-old grandma killing a deer with a crossbow.
Oh, wow.
And so, and they did the whole story about it, and edited out a video and put it on Facebook. And Ted Nugent ended up sharing it. It went like mega viral. I don't remember how many views. Like, it was a few 100,000 views in the hunting community. And we're like, whoa, maybe we're onto something. And then we noticed that all these views were being filtered through somebody else's website. So we looked up the website, and it was a guy that just took like YouTube videos, wrote commentary on them, posted it on his website, and then he'd get web traffic and sell ads. I'm like, we could do that. We could do that. So we started doing that as well.
Nice.
And that's the time I got home from Kuwait, when my brother and cousin were doing that. And I'm like, hey, this sounds like fun. I want to be involved. So I started writing articles because, why stick to YouTube videos, where you can just write articles about hunting. You can either do commentary on news stories, which we ended up doing a lot, or, just write just hunting philosophy pieces. And that's what I started doing. And I did that for 3 or 4 years. And that's where I got the idea for my first book, because it started out as a blog article and then turned into We Were Hunt, Why Do We Hunt? So it definitely was a stepping stone. And so far, we now have Facebook, like 3 different Facebook pages that we were using to push that blog, and they're right around 300,000 followers apiece.
Oh, nice.
And we're still able to push out content, hunting and fishing content through them. So it's definitely been beneficial, even though it was a lot of work, since we've been working since 2015 on the project.
Man.
Oh, wow. So how did you get into the writing of things? Like has it been a passion your entire life as well as hunting?
No. I kind of started writing maybe when I was in high school. I'd write a little bit, and I guess I figured I was pretty good at it. I had a short story entered in a contest for like the school, and went to state and won state. It was like I grew up at went to a Christian school, and so it was like a Christian school convention, and I won states with a short story.
Oh,
So I'm like, oh, maybe I am good at this writing. And then went to the military and, didn't really write there. I've always had like the desire to write a book, but just didn't have the time. And then it was, up until I started writing for the blog, it's like it was kind of on the back burner, and it was something I knew I was good at, but just never really developed until, the blog came along, and then I started writing for that, which turned into so far 5 books. I can't remember.
Nice.
And yeah, so I've got Why We Hunt, a Deer Stand devotional, Following His Tracks. Those 2 are both Christian devotionals, and then my 4th one is Why the River Ran Red, which is a Ohio history book.
Okay. Yeah, I was going.
And then I made up a hunting, like my first hunting journal where I edited. So it's not much of a writing book, but kind of just an idea I've had, and threw it on Amazon to see how it would do. And it's done okay, but not like the actual books.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, we're going to take a break real quick here, word from our sponsors, and we'll be right back.
All right.
This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Stick Tamer Bow Silencers. Are you a traditional archery hunter or shooter? Stick Tamer was specifically designed for the recurve shooter. Made of a hybrid foam rubber material, Stick Tamer is designed to deaden string slap and limb vibration. Stick Tamer reduces limb and string noise, water resistant, and lasts shot after shot. Made in the USA from a hybrid foam rubber for durability. To purchase Stick Tamer and for more information, visit 3riversarchery.com and blackwidowbows.com. Stick Tamer bow silencers are available exclusively at 3riversarchery.com and blackwidowbows.com.
All right, guys, we're back with Aaron Futrell, the author of Deer Stand Devotional and 3 other books, and he's going to talk to us a little more about that here in a minute. But first, Dan is going to do our Salute to Valor. I didn't forget about you, bud.
Wow. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to give you a round right there, because normally you just roll right back into it and leave me hanging. I got to stop you. But anyway, so tonight's actually pretty cool salute, as you'll hear here in just a second. So tonight, our salute to valor is going out to Keith Fiscus, United States Army. He was in F Company 367th Infantry. He served in July of 1944. He was wounded in action. His theaters of duty were Europe, Africa, and Germany. He was awarded an EAME Theater Ribbon with 1 battle star, combat badge, Purple Heart, and an Overseas Service Medal.
Wow.
He worked in counterintelligence and recon, and he reported directly to General George Patton.
Isn't that something?
It is something. That's pretty cool. He was a prisoner of war during World War II, and he spent 8 months at Auschwitz concentration camp in Germany, or Auschwitz, excuse me.
Dang.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool. I mean, to be associated directly with the great General Patton.
Yeah, no doubt. Yep. Thank you for your service, Keith. God bless you, sir. And Aaron, thank you for your service.
No problem.
So, Aaron, you served. You were in the Army, and so tell us a little bit about your time in the service.
All right, I ended up doing 20. I started out active duty Army right after I graduated high school. I became an ammunition specialist and shipped off to basic training in June of 2000.
Wow.
And, that was like before September 11th.
Yeah,
so
right before.
We were all at peace
when
I left. And then my first duty station was Germany. So I went to Germany, and I was over there during September 11th. Actually, I was in Slovenia doing a TDY trip at the time. Yeah, and so I'm like away from my main base. Is me and a handful of other people. I was guarding a port as they swapped out helicopters for Bosnia. They would, brought some off the boat and then flew them to Bosnia and then flew the Bosnian ones in Bosnia back and put them on the boat. And that happened right in the middle of that TDY trip. So biggest thing I remember about that is standing on like the shores of the Adriatic, looking over there, and I can't even remember this lieutenant's name, but he just looked at me. He's like, our world's going to change now. I'm like, what's that? He's like, we're going to war. And I looked up and like, yep.
Wow.
And so it's kind of like, that's kind of like it's like a moment in time that I just have a snapshot of. It's like, okay, that evening it was September 11th or 12th of me talking to him and just realizing, okay, we've gone from peacetime to wartime, and our whole service is going to change. The whole military is going to change. Our country's changed. And we moved on from that. I went back to Germany after my, a couple more weeks in Slovenia. And we were the main ammunition depot in Europe. And so all we did after that is pack ammunition to be sent to Afghanistan. Because it didn't take long until we had troops on the ground there. We had special forces and then, everybody else there. So as soon as it happened, we were packing Connexes full of ammo to ship over there. And we were right next to Ramstein Air Base, and, they would come in, the special forces guys, before they went over, we would supply them straight from Ramstein Air Base. And then they would fly a C-130, not a C-130, probably like a C-17 or whatever into Afghanistan, because Ramstein was one of the main jumping off points of stuff coming from the U.S. would stop in the air base and then right over there, because it was like the perfect middle point.
Yeah.
And that's all we did for pretty much the rest of my deployment, is get ammunition ready for Afghanistan. And then it started rolling over to before the Iraqi invasion, and we were packing up for that.
Yeah.
So I did 2 years in Germany and then went to Fort Bragg. And as soon as I got to Fort Bragg, the unit I was assigned to was deploying to Afghanistan. And they're like, hey, do you want to go to Afghanistan? And I'm like, well, I signed up for the Army to go somewhere and do something. So, yes, I'll go with you. And so I was in Fort Bragg less than a month before I shipped out to Afghanistan to Bagram. And crazy thing is, I met some of the ammunition I packed in Germany in Bagram. I'm like, hey, that's my handwriting on the sign. So it's like it beat me over here. But anyways,
that's become a famous Air Force base over there.
Yeah, I did a tour in Afghanistan. Not too much happened with me over there. I was just doing my daily work at the ammunition supply point. We were in Bagram, so it was a relatively safe part of the country, since that's where the Northern Alliance was kind of based. We only got mortared once when I was there, and then a sniper one time.
Wow. So,
and nothing was even close to where I was, so it seemed like it was just going to work in the hot weather.
Thank God.
So after that, I went back to Fort Bragg, and I'm like, I'm done. I served it's about 4 years. I don't have anything left I think I need to accomplish in the Army. I've been on a deployment. I've served overseas in Germany, and I've come back, and I'm just ready to go home and, go to college. So I got off of active duty, went back here to Ohio, started classes at the University of Akron. And for about a year and a half, that was good. And then I started missing the military a little bit. I'm like, man, there's just some stuff that it's like, I don't want to go active duty, but what if I just do the guard, 1 week in a month, 2 weeks out of the year, plus they're going to pay for my tuition and I can pocket my GI Bill. That sounds like a pretty good deal. I don't have to go through basic or anything. So, I talked to one of my friends that was in the National Guard, and he gave me the name of a National Guard recruiter. And I signed up, and I got picked aviation, since it was the shortest class that I could do while I was in college. Everything else was like, 9, like 9 or anywhere between like 11 and 23 weeks. I'm like, I'm not doing that. But there was a 4-week transition school. I was like, okay, I'll do the 4 weeks as a flight operations specialist. So that's what I joined. So I joined an aviation unit that had Chinooks. In that time, Kiowas, and then so I did that for a few years, and then they ended up offering me a full-time job because one of the perks of being flight operations, they would say, "Hey, you come in here, monitor the radios while we fly, and you can do homework," which is perfect for college. I get paid to go do my homework.
Yeah.
So I would go once or twice a week to the flight facility right by the Akron Canton Airport and monitor flights for them and do my homework and get paid for it instead of sitting at home studying and getting paid for it or
Wow.
not getting paid. So after that I learned to do the job pretty well, and they saw that I was a responsible person. So they're like, "Hey, the person that does flight ops for us full time is deploying. Do you want to take over for her for a year?" I'm like, "Sure. I'm just graduating college. I don't know what I'm going to do now. I got my degree in history, and I was thinking about going getting my master's or whatever, but I wasn't sure what I wanted. But a year doing a pretty good paying job, sure, I'll do that." And while she was over there, she ended up getting a different position. So the full-time position came open, and I applied for it, and I became a full-time guard member.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah, so that kept going on, and I did that. I started about 2008, and then it was pretty lackluster. We weren't called up for many deployments. Deployments that the battalion went on, I didn't end up going on, and same thing with the Chinook unit. I ended up being moved to a different unit, but nothing happened until 2015 when the battalion went to Kuwait, and they pulled me from my unit in Akron down to Columbus, Ohio, and I deployed with the battalion that had Blackhawks and Chinooks and all that, and was in Kuwait and Abu Dhabi and for not Abu Dhabi, Udari Air Base. I did that for a year, which was terrible. Because if you've ever been to Kuwait,
I sure have.
Kuwait is hot.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I've
And
never been
dusty.
hot, dusty, and everything smells like diesel and feces. It's not and you're just there. It's not like
Yeah.
I always described it as a minimum security prison. It's like, sure, you can walk around the prison yards, but you can't go anywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just not fun.
It's funny that
As soon
you
as step
describe it that
outside,
way.
you're going to be soaking wet from sweat.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And just I spent the entire summer there. We got there in May and left in December. So I think we got there 2 weeks later. They had their first 100-degree day, and it was 100 degrees all the way through November. So I'm like, ooh. So and I think the hottest it got was 136.
Man.
Which is miserable.
Yeah.
So I did that deployment, came back, and they were setting up a new unit, a Blackhawk medevac unit up in Akron Canton. So I was able to get myself assigned to that, so I didn't have to stay in Columbus. And so helped set that up for the next 2 years. And then we got, called for a deployment going to Iraq. So, and I ended up deploying to Iraq in 2019. That's when I actually wrote my first book, was 2019, and had its release date 2 weeks before my deployment date.
Oh, wow.
So I wrote Why We Hunt over that summer, and then I released it, and then I deployed to Iraq. First went to Texas for about a month to get ready, but that's where I started writing the Deer Stand devotional, was on that deployment, because I'm like, I don't know what else I'm going to do. Deployments a lot of times are really boring. It's like you do stuff and then it's downtime for a lot. I'm like, I needed something to occupy the downtime, which was kind of my problem in Kuwait. I didn't have anything to really occupy myself. But so I'm like, I wrote a book. I can do this, so I'm going to write another book. And I got the idea for the book from my grandpa, who was an avid outdoorsman, grew up in West Virginia in the middle of nowhere. And
that's what I thought was so interesting about the book, because I've gotten through some of those parts, and I haven't read the whole thing yet. I'm trying to, but it's hard for me to get time to actually sit down and read a book. But I want to get through the whole thing because it is a very good book, and it's from the way that it started out. You know, I remember you talking about your grandpa and, you know, you being in the service, and that's the first thing you wanted to do when you got back was you wanted to go hunting because there was a time there that he had gotten sick or something.
Well, that was when I was on active duty.
Okay.
I was able to come home on leave when I was in Germany and go hunting with him, and that ended up being the last time we were able to go hunting because he ended up like 3 or 4 months later having a massive heart attack, and then complications from his bypass surgery led to a stroke.
Wow.
And he ended up passing away, I think 6 months later. So, so when I went on that hunt when I was home on leave. I ended up shooting a button buck, and I still tell everybody that's one of the most special deer I have is a button buck because I was able to hunt with my grandpa.
Yeah,
that's
still
awesome.
chokes me up a little bit.
Oh,
but,
sure.
No,
Understandably.
Oh yeah, it's very. He took me hunting for the first time when I was 3.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
and took
awesome.
me every weekend and to go shoot groundhogs or squirrels, and then. Then we'd go down to our hunting cabin in West Virginia. I was going down there ever since I was like 6 or 7. And
where's
he was
that
with
at?
you. It's on Point Mountain in Webster County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Webster.
Yeah. It's not too far from Elkins.
Yeah.
Yep.
I grew up hunting in Pocahontas County.
I was just thinking, it just hit me a few minutes ago. You was talking about how you started out as munitions. And then you said you was from Ohio, and it's kind of funny to me because I grew up in Ohio as well. And if you know anything about it, Ravenna, Ohio, that used to be one of the largest munitions depots in the U.S.
Yep, I think it was. Yeah, during World War II, it was the largest ammunition factory in the U.S.
I think so. And now it's a huge hunting preserve. So.
Well, right now it's a National Guard base. The National Guard
did they
took
switch
it over.
Back over?
Yep, the National Guard took it over, and they still have a hunting lottery there. Where
my dad got drawn for that one year.
Yeah,
and he just talked about how massive some of the bucks I've seen on that place.
I killed my biggest deer there.
Okay,
it's a 158 class 14 point.
Nice.
Wow.
So
I can remember driving on 5 and just seeing the fence line, and just that's all you did. Look for deer while you was driving past it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and since I was in an aviation unit, they used to do a lot of our helicopter training there, and they would do low level flyings around the field, the pilots, and they would look for sheds. So there's a couple of pilots that's got their office full of sheds from there that they found while flying, and they would send
cheating.
I know, because you couldn't go out there any other time unless you had reasons to go there.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, they have a great they have a civilian lottery and a military lottery. The civilian lottery, you have about a 1 in 128 chances of being drawn. Each year. That's so it's pretty rare if you get drawn. You may never get drawn.
Sure.
But there's also a military side, and you have pretty much an 80% chance draw rate. So I've hunted there 8 times.
Now, do you have to be a resident?
No, you just have to be. You have to be retired. You have to be in the active military, either Guard, Reserves, or active duty, or retired military. So if you're just a veteran, if you're just a veteran, you have to enter the civilian one. But if you're retired, you're retired or active at the time, you can enter the military one, and you got a really good chance of being drawn.
Nice.
So it's a great hunt. I put in for it every year, and I think the only times I didn't put in for it is when I was deployed, and I only haven't been drawn once.
Wow, that's awesome.
So it's pretty much a 1-day hunt, and it's a really good time because you show up and there's like a room full of like 150 hunters in Orange, and they give a briefing. Then you go out to your hunt area, and everybody has at least 80 acres to themselves to hunt on.
Right.
So you only see people the first hour you're there, and then they send you out to your spots, and you go. I'm batting like 600. I think 2/3 of the times I've killed a deer, but only one nice buck. Everything else has been like does, because there's like half the time I get the antlerless tag and not the not the buck tag. Like,
Yeah.
but yeah. So, anyways, I'll go back to my service because I got a little bit more story to tell you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay.
So in 2019, I went to Iraq. That's when I started writing the Deer Stand devotional. And in 2020, that's when Trump killed General Soleimani at the Baghdad International Airport.
Yep.
So that's kind of lit off a firestorm over there. So I spent New Year's watching drone footage of the U.S. Embassy of people throwing Molotov cocktails and other stuff, and the demonstrations at it. So they're throwing stuff over the walls, starting fires, and I'm like, whoa, things are getting crazy over here.
Yeah.
And then on January 8th, I was stationed at Al Assad Air Base, and that is when Iran fired ballistic missiles into Al Assad. I ended up getting a traumatic brain injury because I was 100 meters away from one of the missiles.
Oh, wow.
And then 500 meters away from two of the other ones. I think there was 11 total that hit the base. It pretty much started at 03 in the morning and lasted to 5 in the morning. So every 15 minutes they would call incoming, and then one or two missiles would hit, and then repeat the process. The next, clear for 15 minutes, and then more missiles. So for 2 hours, I was laying in a bunker, wondering if I was going to die or not, because it's like these things are 1,000-pound warheads, 1,000 pounds of TNT on these things.
Sure.
Like, imagine 3 telephone poles strapped together is what they were throwing at us.
Wow.
And knowing if they hit the bunker I was in, I was going to die. So after that night, I kind of started like a little bit of like recovery from that, from like the mental and the physical, from having a TBI, or better known as like a type of concussion, to like a near-death experience kind of gives you pause a little bit and like kind of reevaluate yourself and wondering what's happening, what am I doing here.
Oh yeah.
But then I started writing again. I had most of the book written. I just had to do a lot of the editing, and I ended up adding those longer stories at the end to the book at that time after the missile strike, because I talked to people, and my dad said, you need to add a different story, some more stuff to it. So I ended up adding those, and I wrote all of those while I was having incredible headaches from my traumatic brain injury. But it's like I had a desire to get this done, and it was also kind of helpful that I was able to look into the Bible and look into God's Word and write about my spiritual life plus hunting, which was my passion.
Yeah.
So I got to combine those things, when I was writing helped me kind of like forget what was going on in the outside world, and the deployment around me, when we were hearing intelligence reports every day of like this guy, they're planning attacking on this base, they're planning, this, and you're not knowing, are things going to escalate? So it's like the writing of the book was a lot of the ways was therapeutic for me.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It was
right
part
after
of your recovery.
Yeah, right after the attack. So I ended up finishing out the deployment. They almost sent me back to Germany because of my headaches, but they were able to do some treatments, and I stayed in Iraq instead of going to the medical center in Landstuhl. And so I ended up being 11 months instead of 10 months because.
Well, we lost both of them. I don't know what happened. It was just a drop call.
Happened.
Was that you or what?
I don't know what happened.
It just completely dropped.
I'd have been on you. You're the main guy there.
Didn't go dead because I got 33%.
I got 89.
That's crazy. We'll edit this out, but he's calling back now.
All right, good.
I don't know what happened there. It just dropped.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, hold on just a second. I'll merge you back in. Okay, you there?
Yep, I'm here. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, I don't either. That was weird.
Yeah. Technology, the blessing and a curse at the same time.
It is.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know where I was. I kept talking, so I don't know where I was.
You were talking about
Not
your
Not
recovery.
being sent to the hospital. You got to finish your deployment.
Yes.
Oh yeah, didn't get sent back to get sent home or back to Germany or whatever. But I finished out the deployment, and ended up. That's when I started writing my third book, which was the Ohio history book, which I wanted a little bit of change of pace, and just a book on the Ohio Indian Wars and some of the stories and legends from that. So it's got like Daniel Boone, Simon Kenton, Lewis Wetzel. If any of those names ring familiar to you, there's like pretty famous outdoorsmen in that time period. And
Yeah.
so I recorded some of their stories and kind of wrote it like an oral history where I read the historical account. I read like 3 or 4 other stories of the account. Then I put everything to the side and just wrote it from memory. So it's like, oh, this is what I heard about that, and this is what I know about that, and kind of put a narrative that way, like you're sitting around the campfire,
Nice.
telling this story to a group of people. So I wanted to kind of be like a narrative. So it's like vaguely, it's like historically accurate, but there's like liberties involved in it, because I figured that's the way a lot of oral histories and oral stories were told. With there's like a bunch, there's truth, and there's what was passed on. So I just kind of like that little that twist to it that I put. So it's kind of, I figure it's like kind of what they do to movies about based on actual events.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
so I finished that one, and that also gave me time, to myself to kind of escape what was going on in Iraq. And then I went home and actually started writing my 4th book, Following His Tracks, which is another devotional. That one, if you like the longer stories in the first devotional, that's what Following His Tracks is. It's all longer stories. I have like 20 of them that are not like, they're like quick story devotionals of all types of hunting. So I've got like turkey, small game, frog gigging, and other things of just being out in the woods. And I got a Christian spin where you can actually hopefully learn something from the stories.
Yeah.
In there, and they're a little bit longer. There's not as many as like the Deer Stand devotional, which is like a 7-week devotional, where you have something to read every day. This is like 20 short stories about hunting with a spiritual, with with Christianity or implanted in them, that talking about God and how and what He does and how we can see Him through the outdoors.
That's awesome.
So yeah, so I wrote that one, and it kind of really got got a kick when my great uncle passed away, and I hunted with him pretty much my entire life as well. He'd be at deer camp with us, and was kind of like the last of that, almost like the last of that generation that I was deer hunting with. And it kind of, and there's a story in that one based on the eulogy that I wrote him.
Okay.
So that kind of added to that one, and I'm like, wait a second, I need to add more. So I added more and turned it into a book.
Wow.
And not just on him, but it's all individual hunting stories of me hunting when I was growing up, hunting with frog gigging with my daughter, taking my kids out for the first time, hunting with my grandpa, and just all of that, just like kind of stuff that was like personal to me, but it was also a way that I could not only just personal, but I could reach out and hopefully be a blessing to others. And it's been received pretty well. It's like the Deer Stand devotional has been received like extremely well, and this one is starting to catch. I don't know about catching up to it, but it's doing pretty good too. But that's after I wrote that, that's the last book I wrote, and that was 3 or 4 years ago, because I completely ran out of time for writing, because That's when I was medically retired from the military. I was medically retired from the military for the traumatic brain injuries. I was having migraines 3 or 4 times a week,
Wow.
where I'd come back from work and I'd be on the couch because I was having such bad headaches. And anytime I was around loud noises, they'd kick in headaches. So like I couldn't go to the rifle range and qualify with my rifle
Sure.
because I would be just miserable. And after they're like, "Oh, you can't qualify with your rifle. You have all this stuff." Yeah, after 20 years, they're like, "If we can't use you anymore, we're gonna medically retire you." And so while I was in that process, they ended up finally approving my Purple Heart. So while I'm getting retired from the military, they approved my Purple Heart, and then I received my Purple Heart ceremony in April of 2023, and then a month later, all my paperwork went through for the medical retirement, and then I'm sitting there out of the military. It's like,
Yeah.
wow.
What do you do now?
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
it just so happens that I was blessed by God to have this in place. About 6 to 7 months before I was retired, remember going back to that blog? We've been always looking for something besides just the blog, like a product or something that we could sell and that we could, start a business. And my brother calls me up. He's like, "Hey, do you want to buy a fishing lure company?" I'm like, "No, that sounds stupid." so he called my cousin, and he's like, said the same thing. "Hey, you want to buy a fishing lure company?" And he's like, "No, we're not going to do that." And then so my brother's like, "Hey, let me tell you about it. This is the first soft plastic lure company ever. It was started in the 1940s. And, remember those worms we used to use in high school? That's this company." And so after a while, my cousin's like, "Here, let me call the guy." So he calls the owner, then he calls me. It's like, "Hey, this actually might be something. We need to go out to Indiana and check this out."
Oh,
So
I
all
know
three
what
of
you're
us,
talking about.
so
Okay.
all three of us drove out there, and we ended up buying DeLong Lures, which is the first soft plastic bait company, and the guy pretty much invented the rubber worm.
Wow.
In 1946, and the whole company was sitting in this guy's garage because it shut down in 2010 because of the economic crash in 2008, and he went through a divorce at the same time and just couldn't keep it open. And he's been trying to sell it for the next 10, 12 years, and just so happens it was right place, right time, and we were able to buy it and move it from Indiana to Ohio, which is coincidentally Akron, Ohio, where the company was started in the 40s.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, which is kind of like a little bit of like serendipity, kind of a little kind of crazy. It's like that he started where we're from, and that's what I've been doing for the last 4 years is running DeLong Lures, selling fishing lures, making fishing lures, which is like a whole lot more stress free than being shot at and almost dying. So
Wow.
yeah, it was great. It's a great company. It's got a great, really cool history, and we've been able to turn it into something. And it was God transferring me from the military right into this, which I'm so thankful for.
They was the ones with the eels, right?
Yep, we have the killer eels.
Yeah, the killer eels. And
Yep.
wasn't they like one of the first weedless ones?
It was one of the first weedless worms with the killer eels.
Yeah.
We use those for muskie and pike.
Okay, yeah.
But the guy, he actually invented one of the styles of weedless lures with the wire that acts as a weed guard. He invented that in the 50s. So we had a patent on it, but patents only last 25 years. So it's no longer patented, and everybody can make it. But he's the guy that invented that.
That's crazy.
Can I still get them for the pack for $1.35?
No, inflation's hit everything. But so we still have a pack for like $3, but still.
That's still pretty good.
Yeah, no, that's still.
So that's what I've been doing for the last, 4 years with being retired
Wow.
from the military in between there.
So I hate to go
Um,
back, but I got a question.
No,
So you talking about your military, your military experience and your time in the military and things that you've been through, and you were over in another country when 9/11 started, or after it happened, and you were like, we're going to war. So you got a lot of millennials and Gen Z kids these days. My son and daughter included. So what do you have to say to them during this time right now that's very volatile? Things are still,
yeah, it's
kind of ramped up
um,
from what you said maybe have started this whole thing. And, it's kind of like a day-to-day basis now. So what would you say
yeah.
to that? Do you think that we're going to go back to war? Could this be the start of World War III? And it all ties into the Bible with, prophecy. So that's another thing that I wanted to mention. What's your
Yeah,
thought? What's your thoughts on that?
Truth is, I don't know if this is the start of World War III. I hope not, because war is terrible. It's not
Yes.
it's not good no matter when it is. Sometimes it's necessary, but it's not good.
Yeah.
And it destroys lives. It's changed my life. It took away my health. It took away some of my physical and mental. I still suffer from PTSD. And it's not anything that I want for this country is to go back to war. But it is, I understand that it is a possibility. And at this point, you have to trust the leaders that they're going to do the right thing, which is harder and harder, no matter which side of the political aisle you're on, is trusting that they're going to do the right thing. So while I was in, I kind of, I'd say trying to think how to transition this, but I didn't really focus on the leaders because I signed up when Bill Clinton was president. My first deployment was under George W. Bush. My next deployment was under Clinton, and my last one was under Trump.
Yeah.
And so all the parties, all the leaders have been different senates, different House of Representatives. And no matter what changed there, I knew God was in control.
Yes.
And that he was going to have my back and have, something wasn't going to happen without his knowledge and his foresight and his basically approval.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I focused on. And I look back at my time in the military, and if I had to do it all over again, I would, because it was some of the greatest experiences of my life.
Absolutely.
I always describe it as the opening of a tale of Charles Dickens' A Tale of Two Cities. It was the best. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if anybody's been in the military, that is the best way to describe it. You have some of the best times of your life, along with some of the worst times of your life.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's funny you say that, is because 90% of the people I know that I served with, that I know military wise, would do it all over again. 100%.
Oh yeah. And another thing I like to tell people is, like, sure, the military and war's taken a lot from me,
Sure.
but it's given me so much more.
Oh yeah.
So it's like,
some of your best friends are military.
yeah, some of my best friends and some of my greatest memories, some of my greatest adventures are from my time in the military.
Yeah.
And also the times I've grown the most from the trials and tribulations and hardships are from the military as well. Some of the places I've had to spend the night, sleeping on a cement floor or sleeping in the dirt, and just, it makes you appreciate things when you come back and lay in a warm bed in a nice house. It's like, yeah, I like this. This is way better than what it could be. And I appreciate all those things way more because I've experienced way worse.
Yeah.
And that's just like the physical part, but it's helped my spiritual life because it's made me trust in God more.
Yeah.
Because like when those missiles were falling all around me, you're helpless.
Yep.
And he's the one that you got to look to. He's the one that you've praying to him to keep you safe.
Yeah. Protection.
Because there's absolutely nothing you can do. There was no bunkers anywhere strong enough to keep you safe from what was falling from the sky.
Wow.
Sure.
And so it's like, yeah. And and afterwards, it's like there's a lot of soul searching involved, and he's been with me through it all, and also through my recovery when I'm still wrestling with PTSD. He's like the rock that you can look to, and like it's all in control. And now I have a story that I can tell, and then hopefully people can learn from.
Yeah, for sure.
I've spoken at, I don't know, a half a dozen men's Bible studies and shared my story of the missile strike and going through that. And I've added it along with a like a Christian, like a Bible story, usually like Noah's Ark or Abraham or Joseph. How God protected them, kept them through the storm or whatever they were going through, and He's does the same for you. So it's like I've definitely appreciate my time in the military because it's done so much for me.
Yeah.
And I would tell any of these Gen Z, Gen Alpha kids that are thinking about it, definitely give it some hard consideration. It's not for everybody. It's not easy. It's tough, but it's worth it if you put your all into it. If you make like the proper sacrifices in your life to take what you can from it and give it what it gives you. It's a great experience.
Very rewarding.
Oh, very rewarding, but it can also break you too.
Yeah.
I don't want to be like it's all unicorns and cookies and all that, when it's hard, and if you're not persevering through it, the military can break you. But I definitely recommend if it's in your personality and that's what you want to do, and it will take you places.
Yep, that's for sure.
So real quick too, while we're on it and everything, can you give all of our listeners an idea where they can get your books? And
yes,
are they downloadable, or are they paperback, or both, or audio books?
They're both. You can get them as a paperback or an audiobook on Amazon. I self-publish through their program there. And so as soon as they order it, they'll print off a copy and mail it to them.
Awesome.
Or you can download it on your Kindle.
Sweet.
So, yep. So it's like, and all my books are $10 a piece. So it's like pretty economical.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so like the devotionals those are the two I've gotten the most feedback from, that people really like. And then Why We Hunt. And then if you're into history and stories, but some of them are a little bit graphic because there's a very brutal time then. So if you're a little bit squeamish, I wouldn't recommend my When the River Ran Red, because it's...
Yeah, that one's actually piqued my interest. I hadn't heard of that one. I might.
Yeah.
Because I know a lot about the Ohio River Valley histories and stuff too. So that's kind of, I want to see somebody else's perspective.
Yep. So yeah, most of it takes place in Kentucky, West Virginia, and then Southern Ohio.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well,
so
Aaron,
it's like that whole, the Ohio River was known as that dark and bloody river during that time period because of how many people were killed, the settlers and the Native Americans, just thousands of attacks on the river while the settlers were moving down. So it was a brutal time, but it was a very interesting time. There was a lot of stories, and it's, being from Ohio, I consider it a little bit of my heritage. And like half my family's from West Virginia, the other half's from Kentucky. So it's like I'm, covered all my bases there.
Awesome. Well, Aaron, it's great speaking with you tonight. Thank you so much for coming on and telling us your story and talking about your books that you've wrote. We sure appreciate you.
Oh, I appreciate you guys having me.
Yep, and thank you again for your service, sir.
Yeah, we appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. Thank you very much.
All righty. Well, like I said, we appreciate you being on, and God bless you, sir. And if you need anything from us, please let us know.
All right, I will. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, guys, thanks for listening this evening. Thanks for watching our live. We'll have all the links for the descriptions where we talked about everything in our description when we post these episodes and we air them.
Yeah. Don't forget to check out naturesvoicegamecalls.com and use podcast 15 at checkout for 15% off your entire order. And we know you're going to be on the water this summer, so check out woodbaitcountry.com and use promo code ONTHELIMB and get 10% off your order. some great custom handmade balsa baits from Bassmaster champion Cliff Pace. They are some
Yes.
good stuff, guys.
They sure are, for
Check them
sure.
out.
Again, thanks everybody for listening, and we sure appreciate it. Be sure to check us out on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you.
This episode of On the Limb with Nature's Voice Game Calls is brought to you by Will Jewelry and Loan. When you need cash and you need it fast, check out Will Jewelry and Loan. Come on in with your jewelry, firearms, electronics, tools, lawn equipment, dirt bikes, side-by-sides, and even four-wheelers. They will beat any competitor's loan amount, and that's a fact. Will Jewelry and Loan guarantees faster and more cash for your loan than any other company in the area. They have your cash you need fast. Check them out today on their Facebook page or give them a call at 304-768-5101. Stop in and talk with them at 5523 McCorkle Avenue, Southwest, South Charleston, West Virginia. Will Jewelry and Loan, 304-768-5101.